Welcome to Barcelona for the final races in Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup. And that means it is a weekend where titles are going to be decided for drivers and for teams across Pro, Gold, Silver and Bronze. It is going to be a crucial weekend and an all-action weekend as well. The first time that Barcelona has played host to Sprint Cup Championship deciding races, although it has done that for the Endurance Cup in previous seasons. We're ready for drama here in Barcelona as we get set for the Championship Showdown. Not only, of course, are we looking at titles here in Europe, but all of this is to be factored in to the overall global Fanatec GT World Challenge. As far as Europe is concerned, this concludes the Sprint Cup. We've got the Endurance finale still to come in November in Jeddah. For the manufacturers, though, they score points in Europe, in Australasia, in America and in Asia. And GT World Challenge Asia has been another huge success story over the course of 2024. Mercedes-AMG taking on Porsche. Audi's in the mix as well. The entry has continued to grow. There's now the Japan Cup as well. And after another fantastic season of racing with bold, bright liveries and even drama in the pit lane, it all came down to the final few moments of racing. It was Porsche versus Mercedes-AMG for GT World Challenge Asia titles, and it was Porsche that triumphed, and therefore for the German brand gained a huge bag full of points in that global manufacturer contest. Honours in Asia to Porsche. But in America, the racing has been just as fierce and the entry just as impressive. And GT World Challenge America came to a close at Indianapolis just a week ago. The only night race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 8 hours of action and 8 hours of drama. It was a proper endurance race that saw different fortunes of teams fluctuate over the course of the race. BMW and Porsche looking strong. The Indianapolis 8 hours also a round of Intercontinental GT Challenge, and that brought a stellar cast to the American circuit. Ferrari taking on Mercedes-AMG, taking on Porsche. And in the end, it was BMW that came out on top as Charles Weerts was able to take the Drivers' Championship in Intercontinental GT Challenge. And the different manufacturers were able to bank points in this global quest to be World Challenge Manufacturer Champion. Here in Barcelona, GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup, comes to a close with championships finally balanced, and it's going to be a fascinating brace of races to see who comes out on top. In Pro, Charles Weerts and Dries van Thor came to Barcelona with a 2-point advantage in the championship.
Indeed, we are leading championship, which is the best place to be starting a weekend, but we know that Barcelona is not a track that suits our car so well, unfortunately, so let's hope that we can have a fair fight. And that we can just have everything in hand to actually fight for the championship. Let's see how this turns out, but hopefully it will be a fair fight.
Chasing the BMW drivers, Mauro Engel and Lucas Auer. 2 points back coming into Saturday's race. And Mauro Engel has desperately wanted to win this for so long. He's even lost out in the past on a tie-break.
Yeah, it's been an exciting championship for sure, and I think we can look back on a very strong run so far, and we're very happy to be in contention and to fight it out this weekend in Barcelona. I think we have strong chances. You know, it's fully open. 2 points is very little, and we'll try and make it come our way.
Team Engschler has been new to the Gold Cup within GT World Challenge Europe this year and is aiming for Gold Cup honours. Really impressive season for Max Hoffer.
I think we have the chance to 100%. We have the package to do so. Now it's just a matter of if we can accomplish everything this weekend. It's super tight. So one mistake can be the victory in the championship. And so we have to be able to avoid all mistakes and make a clean job from all of the team.
And another rapid Audi within the Gold Cup is that of Lucas Legeret. The CSA run car is another one aiming for points this weekend, and also the crown.
It's going to be tough. Tomorrow is going to be a deciding day for sure. Qualifying will be, I think, one of the deciding factor of where the championship will go. For sure, if you start first and you get first the pole position points, which in this position is very important, and then if you're in front, you have the control over the race, so it's very important. So we'll see tomorrow.
In Silver Cup, which is purely for silver-graded drivers, Aurélien Panis is the man to beat in the Boots and VDS Mercedes, the team new to the Mercedes-AMG stable for this year.
Yeah, for sure will be not easy for us, but we will not give up. We will give our maximum again this weekend. I think the Merc is quite good on this track, so let's see. We will try to push to win races, and we will see at the end.
Callan Williams was a category champion last year in GT World Challenge Europe. What can he do in 2024? New co-driver for this weekend as well in Sean Delisle.
It's going to be a good weekend, hopefully. We got a decent championship lead, which is obviously really nice to have. It's really unfortunate that Sam can't be here this weekend. So yeah, wishing him all the best. I'm sure he would be here if he could. But Sean's been amazing, stepping up last minute, taking an overnight flight from Indonesia. So yeah, we'll see how we get on this weekend.
No GT grid is complete without a quick Ferrari, and this from AF Corsa is definitely a quick Ferrari. Alessio Dono at the wheel, and he's looked mighty impressive in his debut GT3 season.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this championship. My feeling with Tom is really nice. We will try to win this championship. We don't give up, keep pushing.
The Bronze Cup is up for grabs as well. Rob Collard comes here as the newly crowned British GT champion. The man he beat to do that, Sandy Mitchell, is his co-driver. And that means that Barwell Motorsports certainly knows it's got strength in depth.
It's an amazing championship to race in. There's so many cars to battle against. The Ferrari's very fast, the BMW's very fast, but hopefully the Lamborghini's going to come out on top this weekend.
The Sky Tempesta racing team is no stranger to championship showdowns. Eddie Cheever and Jonathan Hui drive their Ferrari, and they've had a good season as well. Jonathan Hui looking for Bronze Cup honours.
Yeah, I mean, this championship is so high quality. You've got the best drivers in the world. It's super competitive. Barwell, Paradigm, they all do a fantastic job. So I think for us to be up mixing it with them is a fair fight. It's been like that all season long, and we're looking forward to finishing it off.
And the 2023 British GT champion, Darren Leung, back on the grid and also looking for a bronze title. He's had a really busy season and he gets better and better every weekend he races.
So I think it's just maximising what we've got underneath us. We've done a pretty good job this year, to be honest, in terms of extracting what we can out of the car. We've not tried to, you know, when things haven't been going so well, we've not tried to reinvent the wheel. You know, we've kind of stuck to our process and sort of been fairly consistent. We've had a few issues with contact and such like that we've recovered pretty well from. So yeah, I just think we've just scored well. We've stuck to our guns a bit and tried to be consistent.
The sun is shining then as we get set for racing, and yesterday it all looked a little bit different because it was a damp circuit when the cars set off and tyre choice was going to be critical. So too was an incident at the back of the pack which took out two cars going into the first corner and left us with a lengthy safety car period. It was midway around the first lap that the safety car boards and flags flew, and those that were on wet tyres made early progress. The race continued behind the safety car all the way up to the pit window. But prior to that, Mauro Engel and Lucas Auer's car had been in for a tyre change and lost ground when it was hemmed in. Weather conditions deteriorated markedly, cars aquaplaning off the road even under safety car conditions. And this, as the pit window opened, was Maxi Gertz, who had stayed out on slick tyres. But they'd saved themselves a pit stop and minimum time was wasted. It meant that when the race got back underway, finally, his co-driver Jules Gounon was in the lead. Others, like Mauro Engel, had to try to get themselves through the traffic. Engel and Auer fighting Charles Wirtz and Dries Van Thor for the championship. Every place mattered to Engel, and he was lucky not to get stuck in the gravel here at turn 10 when he outbraked Sven Muller and ran out of road. So Jules Gounon was set for the win with Max Gertz. Cesar Gazzo was busy battling with Konto Lapalainen late in the race as Mauro Engel picked his way through the traffic, and he and Lucas Auer outscored Wirtz and Van Thor for the championship. A win for Jules Gounon and Max Gertz, a first sprint win for Boots and VDS, and last lap heartbreak for Jonathan Hui, tapped into a spin by Dustin Blackner. The result of yesterday's race, though, remains subject to an appeal by one of the teams, but it was a happy Jules Gounon and Max Goertz that could celebrate taking the flag
Sure,
first.
Maxi, back at the top where you should be. What a brilliant race for you guys.
Yeah, so this was our target, to be honest, starting from first row. But under these conditions, you can't expect to finish up there as well. It looked like we are suffering a bit because we took maybe the wrong decision in the end, but then, the luck came to our side. We pitted at the right time because the window opened for us. We pitted at first. So we were the first car able to pit. This brought us in, again, a very good position, and then Jules managed in the end to bring it home. But it's unbelievable having one Boutsen car here in the grid here in P1, in Silver Class and Pro. It's absolutely mega.
And Jules, everyone in the garage was so anxious, waiting for this to happen, counting down the minutes. Well done for pulling it off.
I think they were all anxious because our engine sucked a lot of water and I had a lot of misfiring, so I could only go flat or off throttle. If I was going half throttle, the engine was shutting off, so it was quite difficult to drive in the rain because you had to be flat or off. But it was good. I'm super happy for the team with Maxi. We struggled a lot this season. In Manico, we showed good progress, and here to win in front of Marc, Olivier, the whole team, I think we can be all very proud of it.
Absolutely, so well deserved, guys. Congratulations.
So the provisional result of yesterday's race, the win for Max Goertz and Jules Gounon from Sven Müller and Patrick Niederhauser, Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel taking third, and with it the championship lead coming into this race. Ben Green and Constant Lapalainen next from Aurélien Panis and César Gazot, Lucas Legeret and Simon Gachet in sixth. And the trophies to Jules Gounon and Max Goertz, they used to win as trophies, not necessarily winning together, not necessarily in sprint, and not necessarily for Boutsen VDS. So there were some very happy and, dare one say, one or two relieved faces that success had finally come. It means then that going into this race, 109 points, the tally for Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel. Charles Witz and Dries Van Thor, their championship rivals, 102.5. They are on the back foot now because the BMW has not looked that racy around here this weekend, and we'll see what they can do to salvage it going into this final race of the year. Fog this morning, rain yesterday, but finally the sunshine is above the Circuit de Catalunya here outside Barcelona. Championship showdown there, not only in the Pro Cup, but in the classes as well, gold, silver and bronze. And we're looking forward to a really spectacular hour of racing. We sort of deserve one after the troubles of yesterday with the rain and the safety car. And hopefully this is going to showcase GT3 racing at its finest. It is a mega grid, and it, of course, not only will determine who are the champions within Europe, but also for the global manufacturers competition. Take Europe, North America, Asia and Australia all into account for that season-long battle. Porsche currently ahead from Mercedes-AMG, Audi third, Ferrari fourth, and it's BMW in fifth. And a Porsche win is not out of the question in this race, given that Patrick Niederhauser put the Rutronic racing car on pole position. David Addison and John Watson trackside, and we'll have a word in a moment or two about the prospects of what the race has in prospect for us, with so much to be decided. Porsche on pole position, Patrick Niederhauser, Sven Müller the drivers, and further back the sister car of Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner. Let's join Antonia Rankin on the grid.
Dennis, Porsche are doing very well in the Global Manufacturers Championship at the moment. How's yours feeling today?
Not bad, I guess. So 96 on overall pole. We with Dustin this morning are in the bronze class pole, so doesn't look too bad today.
Both of the Rutronic cars had a fantastic qualifying. Is that just because you're very well suited to the track?
Yes, I think yesterday we learned from some mistakes maybe, just adjusted the setup a little bit, and yeah, I think worked quite well out.
How much fun have you had driving the Porsche this season? It's given you some fantastic results.
Yeah, so I think the beginning of the season we struggled a little bit. Was not the easiest, but I think we found out what we did wrong and improved and developed over the season. And I think since I think especially Nürburgring, yeah, we're doing quite well, and then keep up the pace. Could keep up the pace.
All the best. Thank you very much.
And a Porsche on pole as well.
Yes, but entirely different weather conditions from this morning. Track temperature this morning was a balmy 15.3 Celsius, and it's gone up to a boiling red hot 34.2. It's more than doubled, and that will have a significant bearing on everybody in the field, because really it's the first time this weekend, other than when they ran on Friday, and that wasn't on new tyres. As we have a quick look at the Barcelona circuit, 2.8 miles, 4.6 kilometres, 14 turns, and it's over in a breath. but it is a demanding circuit, it's a tough circuit. Its personality will change, definitely has changed between this morning and where we are now, coming up to the start of this race at 2 p.m.
Long, fast pit straight, some areas where you can outbrake, some heavy braking zones as well. And with so many right-handers, you get a bit of uneven tyre wear over the left and right-hand side of the car. There you can see Maxi Goetz. Jules Gounon will do the first stint. There he is, ready to get his crash helmet on. The driver that finished yesterday will start today, and the driver that started yesterday and ended up behind the safety car for so long will bring the car home. New Am champion of GT2, Jean-Luc Beaubelique there. Let's go back to the grid and join Antonia.
Charles Rees, you've got a lot of work to do today.
Indeed. It's been a shitty weekend so far, but we're going to try our best. It's over when the finish flag is there, so we have a lot of work to do. We have to catch up. We have to find pace, which we don't have, but yeah, let's see where we can do.
Sorry for the colourful language there, Charles.
Yeah, I agree with Dries. It's a shame. We had a very good season. We've worked our ass off the whole season, and it's a shame that going to the last race, yeah, we are just struggling so much with pace compared to all of the brands. We know this since Friday, and unfortunately, it looks like not a lot has been done in that regard. So it's a shame that such a nice championship and a nice fight was almost decided before the race started. But anyway, we'll do the best we can, and hopefully we can still give a good run.
Have a great race. Thank you, guys.
Charles, we're talking about the pace of the BMW. The BMWs were given a BOP adjustment yesterday, made a bit lighter, and Mercedes made a bit heavier. So things were looked at yesterday, but we never got a chance to see whether that was going to work or not because the weather was against us.
Yes, I mean, the change, I mean, there was a lot of moaning and groaning in the pits that they did get that benefit. This morning I spoke to BMW and they said, well, okay, look, in dry qualifying conditions, you know, okay, the track was cool. So where was the benefit that everybody was saying we were getting? And they're back on the 8th row of the grid, Charles Weerts and Dries van Thor. I mean, it's a mountain in terms of what they've got to try and climb to get to the front. And it's a short 1 hour race with a 10-minute gap in the middle to do your pit stop, driver change, tyre change. So, yes, I mean, they'll give it a go and they'll work as hard as they explained in their colourful language. And that's what you do if you're a proper professional racing driver.
And it ain't over till it's over, as Dries van Thor said, because a lot can happen in an hour of racing. Right, let's go back to the grid. Go to the silver pole position car, Carol Basch and Simon Riker with Antonia.
Simon, you're starting very high up today on silver pole. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I think Carol will do a perfect job in the first stint, and yeah, then we take a look at pit stop where we will get back on track.
Now, obviously, not being in the forefront of the championship fight, is your primary goal just to have a bit of fun and see how you can do?
Of course, it's always primary fun, but second, also we want to take a look to get a good result and show our performance. And yeah, and everything else. We don't want to get involved in any championship fights because we're just guest starting here, but still we want to show that we are not for fun here.
All the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Simon Riker will do the second stint. Carol Basch, former karting world champion, goes first. Normally to be found in Lamborghinis, but another underrated driver is Carol Basch, and hopefully we'll see a bit more of him in the championship next year. It's a very busy grid, not only in terms of cars, although we have lost one, in fact, the Mercedes of Rees Barr and Gilles Stadsbader that was damaged in the race yesterday. That has been withdrawn, although it did go out in qualifying this morning. So we are with a 31-strong grid. And around here, it is going to be certainly lively, that's for sure. First pinch point really is turn one, as we saw yesterday. Get that wrong and there's contact, ruins your race.
Yes, what we saw yesterday was actually not in turn one. It was in the run down to turn one where two cars got together and it led to quite a major accident. But if you look at social media, there's images of it all over social media. Nevertheless, that is always a pinch point on an opening lap. Everybody's got to be aware, and because cars are moving around looking to gain an advantage, get the best position to enter turn one, sometimes moves are made rather quickly without maybe care and attention, and that's what can cause a collision.
Indeed so, and fair play to the Tresor Attempto racing team for building up a spare car overnight for Dylan Pereira and André Mucavils to drive. Right, Lucas Leger and Simon Gachet, gold pole next.
Simon, our gold pole sitter, we've got a very close championship battle on our hands.
Yeah, I did quite a good lap this morning, so now we have to finish the job to be champion. We have to be in front of the Engstler car, so the game is on.
Good luck, have fun, thank you.
Simon Gachet, fresh out of a Lamborghini, he's been in the Super Trofeo race, and they come into this with a very, very close championship fight in gold. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens here.
Yeah, actually, it gives Simon Gachet a slight advantage over everybody else in the field because he's just come out of a very competitive one-make series, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. So he will know precisely what track conditions are like. He'll know how the Pirelli tyre will, no, in fact, it wasn't a Pirelli tyre on the Lamborghini, but how tyres are going to respond on a circuit that we know is a low grip circuit, but is extremely demanding on tyres, basically because you've got a number of long corners. Turn 3 is an example of that, and it's fundamentally a right-hand corner circuit. Tyre management is going to be key, and those that can do that management best will be the ones that will benefit ultimately in the results.
And a point for pole position has gone the way of Gachet already, so that puts them up into the lead of the class in the championship once again. So Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser will start on overall pole position, and Antonia is down with the Porsche pair.
Sven's on pole position for the final sprint race of the season.
Yes, we were happy. Patrick did a fantastic job this morning, put it really together. Pole position, second time this year, including the endurance. And now we want to just have a nice and great result for the last race of the season. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really great race because of the different weather to yesterday. We've had a very combined weather weekend. How differently will you handle it?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was completely wet, but on Friday in our practice session it was dry, same conditions. We were quite strong in the long runs preparing the race for today. So I think our car in qualifying this morning was super quick, and I think also now in the race will be strong. So we are really confident for the race. So let's keep the fingers crossed that we survive turn 1, because this can always happen. We saw yesterday like big incidents and accidents, but should be a good one.
Porsche have been doing very well. They're currently leading the global standings. It's a great look for today.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we see Porsche is competitive in all championships in all continents, also winning yesterday. So yeah, we make them proud and take another win for them.
It's a beautiful day to win a race. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser won on the road at Magny-Cours, then got a penalty, so they are deserving of a win, you could argue. Now, that's the car that will be fighting for the championship. You've heard from their rivals, Dries Van Thor and Charles Weerts, but this, Mario Engel, Lucas Auer, Mercedes for the American Winwood Racing Team comes into this with the points advantage and a better place on the grid.
Yes, and that's really the key. It's the grid position. Well, it's back in the third row of the grid, but effectively they're the front part of the grid, whereas the BMW, their principal challengers, back in the 8th row, that's in the heart of the grid. So all Mario Engel has got to do is just thread his way down into turn 1, through turn 1, 2. And then once you exit out of turn 3, hopefully the field will sort of got themselves into a single line file as they then begin the first sector of the lap. And then by the end of the first lap, it'll probably all be nose to tail single file racing.
Now we know that WRT, the team that operates the BMW, the chaser, if you like, in the championship, we know they do good pit stops.
Well, yes, pit stops. I mean, how many times have WRT won or come into the pit not leading but gone out of the pit gaining not just a position but gaining the lead? So they will be working as they always do, these immaculate pit stops. They train for them. Everybody else in the pit lane does likewise, but just for some reason the BMW crew are exceptionally good at returning a car. And also, of course, the pit lane we saw yesterday when the 48 Mercedes was in for its pit stop and the 30 BMW came in and it had to tuck itself in. So the pit lane in itself, if you've got 3 cars, all one following the other in the pit lane in the garage, causes difficulty for those that are going out first.
Bronze Championship, Dan Harper, Darren Lung, there's their BMW, that's the lead car. Rob Collard and Sandy Mitchell 12 points back, but they could still overturn that deficit going into this final hour of the Sprint Cup season. So the BMW partnership ahead at the moment. Darren Lung and Dan Harper won the British GT title last year, and Rob Collard won it this year, and also in 2020, won it, 3 weeks ago at Brands Hatch. Right, we're ready to go racing just about. The grid is cleared. We've got 31 cars. It'll be a rolling start, so they don't stop on the grid at the end of the lap. They go straight into the race if the race director is happy. 15-second board just shown. Last few mechanics off the grid. The pace car, as it is, the lead car there, the Lamborghini Huracan, will accelerate away. That will lead them around, and then at turn 10 they'll start to get themselves into formation. Last chance to get some warmth into the tyres. You've got people thinking about a championship. You've got other people that just want a good race result here. And now everybody sets away. A little bit delayed with Jules Gounon, but the car has fired up.
Yes, that was, I don't know why he was so late in getting away, but he's dropped behind other cars, so whether he'll be able to legitimately make his way back up to that front row position that he would be starting in. So there you can see, and we've got, it looks quite I mean, some cars are clearly out of place as they come down into turn 1 on this final lap before they go to red.
Patrick Niederhauser starts on pole position for the final hour of the Sprint Cup, with Jules Gounon alongside him and Tom Gamble lining up third in the McLaren. Outgoing champion Mathieu Drudy next, ahead of Simon Gachet, who's the Gold Cup pole position driver. Mauro Engel leads the championship outright, and he's alongside. Then Carol Basch, who is on pole position in silver, lining up alongside him is the impressive Cesar Gazzo. Next on the grid, it's Luca Engschler. Tom Fleming comes next, ahead of Lorenzo Patrese. And then Mathis Lismont lining up alongside. Giacomo Altway next. On his outside is Konsta Lapalainen, with Charles Weir starting 15th on the grid. A lot of work to do. Alex Arca is next. Then it is the Santa Lock Audi that Ivan Klimenko will start. Callum Williams on the outside, then Sean Hudspeth. And next to him, it is going to be Lawrence Lequetia in the Aston Martin, the former Alpine champion. Dustin Blackmer 21st, the Bronze Cup pole position, ahead of Rob Collard. Both of them ahead of Darren Lund significantly in the championship fight, though, here. Paul Everard comes next from Miguel Ramos, and then you get to Darren Lund. So he's got work to do to gain points early doors. Jonathan Hui and Gabriel Rindoni are next. They're in that bronze fight as well. Dimitri Gavatseva comes ahead of Stefan Deneuil's Porsche, and then you've got James Jakes on his own. Co-driver taken ill on Friday afternoon. Andre Nukavoz, who didn't get a drive yesterday. Spare car built up overnight. He completes the grid. So the field now making its way up towards the completion of this formation lap. Yesterday, intention in the damp conditions was always going to be 2. We didn't quite expect the safety car to be out for quite so long, though. The weather, incidents, dramas, it all conspired against yesterday. But today, hopefully in the sunshine, in front of a big crowd as well, overlooking their turn 10, we're going to be in for some proper GT racing. GT cars don't just look fantastic, they sound brilliant as well.
I think one of the key to them, they all look individual, they all look the brand. So a Porsche or a Mercedes, a Ferrari, a BMW, they all look like their brand, not like a clone of a Formula, which is controlled to such a degree now that how can you tell the difference?
Jonathan Hui in the Sky Tempesta Racing Ferrari, making his way up towards the green light, which will be blinking on very shortly as the cars now get themselves into that 2x2 formation. So the Porsche on the inside, Patrick Niederhauser. On the outside line, the Mercedes of Jules Gounon. Tom Gamble in the McLaren factory driver on his outside, Mathieu Drudy in the Aston Martin. He was joint champion last year, Mathieu Drudy with Ricardo Feller, but of course they've split brands, split teams for this season, and Drudy the Spa 24 Hours winner back in the summer. Side by side they come, then ready for the start. Patrick Niederhauser on the inside line, the pole winner by just thousandths of a second in the end, is going to guide them up towards the lights, which in a moment will go to green. And the championship showdown is underway. Not a great start by Gounon, but a good start by Gamble in the McLaren, right on the back of the Porsche. He looks for track space on the outside line, down towards turn 1. Patrick Niederhauser in the Porsche covers off the inside line. And where is Mauro Engel in all of this? In the bright yellow Mercedes, he's on the outside in about 5th place, going into turn 1. Charles Witt's BMW is on the inside. 1 and 2 have to skip over the curb. Bodywork flies in the background. Niederhauser leads, others caught up in the strife. They've all got through.
Yeah, just about bits of bodywork clearly, and others having to go off the outside of turn 1 to just literally, there's no other space. Fanning out 4, almost 5 abreast coming in to turn 4. So calm down a little bit. This is an hour race, and sometimes an impetuous move will pay penalties.
Well, indeed, as the cars accelerate then now downhill, the drone chasing on behind as you turn into turn 5. Now the road drops downhill on the inside line there, the Lamborghini just below us. That is the Collard and Mitchell car sprinting along the straight down towards turn 7 then. Hard on the brakes, number 14, Konsta Lapalainen, and in trouble. Is that the Leggeret?
Yes, it is.
It is Lucas Leggeret and Simon Gachet car that was coming into this leading gold. So number 111 Audi has got problems, damage on the first lap.
Yeah, got tagged in the right rear, and that was on the way down into turn 1. Or what took place in the middle of turn 1 to turn 2. But look, Ferrari's dabbing down the inside, everybody trying to make up ground as quickly as possible. Darren Lung in the 991 BMW making his way through. He's going to consolidate his position, but it's very tight on this opening lap, tighter than I'd maybe anticipated.
And it's going to be Porsche in the lead at the end of the opening lap. Patrick Niederhauser has managed to hang on to it, and now getting away from Tom Gamble. It's Drudy in 3rd. It looks like Engel 4th then as they drop down to the timing line. There you've got the Callum Williams driven BMW, the orange BMW, coming under attack as they accelerate towards us, and there, looking as though gold honours in the championship have gone. Punctured tyre.
Yeah, you've got a puncture on the left rear, but damage, a little bit of damage on the right rear as well. So, yeah, no, this is pretty aggressive on this opening lap.
They've got to get that car in, change the tyre and get him out without losing a lap. If they can stay on the lead lap, there is hope, because a safety car would bring him back into the equation. So Gachet wants to be in quickly, but not too quickly, is to risk more damage to the suspension. Niederhauser leading, Gamble second, Drudy is third as the cars swing up to turn 4.
Yeah, Charles Fetch trying to make as much. He's up to 9th position, so he's come well up from 15th all the way up to 9th. So that opening lap was good for BMW. There is the principal competitor, the 48 Mercedes, Maro Engel. He is in 4th place. And he's not, well, he made a little bit of progress. He got 3. He started 6th, he's up to 4th.
And Luca Engschler there, number 6, with Max Hofer, would win the Gold Cup for the Gold Grade drivers. He is currently 124 points. Gachet and Leggeret not scoring currently because the car is in the pits, but as I say, if they can get it back into the race and stay on that lead lap, there is hope. I'd be surprised if we got through an hour of this without some interruption, but that's not to tempt fate. A thought to the inside line there from Giacomo Altway. The Audi is on the move again, so Simon Gachet nursed it back and he's rejoining on the lead lap. So, as I say, still hope as there. Gunnon under attack on the outside line is Altway.
Yeah, no, that's a battle going side by side. So we're looking just quickly going through a picture of the 48 Mercedes, but it's still the Porsche with that comfortable lead of, what, 9/10 of a second?
That's right. So up front, Patrick Niederhauser goes across the timing line. Tom Gamble in second spot behind him. The margin last time 9/10s, actually down this time 7/10 as you look there at Darren Leung in the BMW, last year's British GT champion, looking to win the Bronze Cup here with Dan Harper, his co-driver for last season. The Paradigm competition BMW goes through, and Darren Leung now is third in class, getting himself onto the back of Rob Collard. They'd still have enough in hand to win the championship, but Collard on the inside, Darren Leung on the outside. They absolutely lean on each other. Contact. Rob Collard gets a little bit squirrely then as the impact from the BMW took hold, but Rob's had bigger knocks than that. Ex-touring car racer knows exactly how to hang on to it, and he prevails.
Yeah, just don't have to carry any contact at all, particularly around the rear quarter could always be a tyre damage, so hopefully there's none done to either the Lamborghini or to the BMW. But tough racing in turn 1 from these 2 bronze entries.
Shows, doesn't it, when a championship is on the line, how things come alive. Right, so Simon Gachet trying to play catch-up. Miguel Ramos is into the pits as well, incidentally, out of the Bronze Cup with the McLaren. There it is. And that's looking a bit more terminal, as though he's picked up some damage on that opening lap of the race. There are 2 in the book, and Niederhauser leads for Tom Gamble. So 1 McLaren in strike, 1 in second place, as Rob Collard there fends off Darren Leung in the BMW. Rob, British GT champion, with his son Ricky. Really good family result. A great season of driving by Ricky, and Rob splitting his campaign between this and British GT. He's had a title in one. Can he have a title in both?
Looking further forward, Helen Williams in the 30 BMW. He's engrossed in a battle with one of the number 9 VDS Butson, a Mercedes.
So Patrick Niederhauser leads the pack at the moment. Tom Gamble in second place. There, number 30, that is Callum Williams, who is in silver and leads, but only just 2.5 points ahead in the championship to Cesar Galzo and Aurelien Panis, who are 1 place behind on the road. That is their Mercedes directly behind. So Galzo and Panis need to get ahead. It is Cesar Galzo at the wheel of that car. So that's the one fighting for the championship. They're together on track. They're virtually together on points.
Yeah, there's still a bit of damage to the right front of the Mercedes bodywork. Again, probably contact into turn 1 on the opening lap, and just see around the back of it some of those little air veins, turning veins, but nothing that should have any significant effect. There is the lead, and Tom Gamble is not letting the Porsche get away. The gap was just 7/10 of a second just a lap ago, and I would think that Tom Gamble has probably not lost an inch to the lead Porsche as they go on to now the 4th lap.
Impressive drive this by Tom Gamble, whose brother George won Porsche Carrera Cup Great Britain title at Brands Hatch a week ago. And to the eye, that McLaren is getting closer to the Porsche all the time, isn't it? So Tom Gamble pushing on, and he's taking Mathieu Drudy with him. Maro Engel sitting tight in 4th place. As long as Engel is ahead of that BMW number 32, that should be enough for the championship. He'd like to do it by the biggest possible margin, but he's in the right place at the moment because the Mercedes runs 4th, and the number 32 BMW runs 6th in class, which is where you get the points.
Yeah, it's a relatively comfortable position at this point for the 48 Mercedes. He's going back again to the bronze battle that's going on. Darren Lung in the 991 BMW.
Mark Lemmer nearest to you, the man that runs Barwell with the beard on his other side is Patrick Kuyler, who will take over number 72. And although the Lamborghini is getting away from the BMW, it's not enough. Rob Collard needs to try, if he can, to get himself up past Dustin Blattner's Porsche. So right now, Harper and Lung still okay to take the title. It's looking good for them. That's Ricky Collard, the other part of the British GT Championship winning team, looking nervous for the old man.
Something like that, I would say, yes. No, he's here supporting his father, giving him every opportunity. That a great run of Brands Hatch just a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago. But they're looking at the BMW as it comes down once again into turn 1, down long behind the wheel. So that car is currently in overall, not that it matters overall, it's the 22nd place overall. It's the battle within that bronze category.
Now, Callan Williams in silver has dropped to second in the class behind Karol Bash, but is under investigation for possibly causing a collision with Mathis Lismont at the start of the race. So that could throw the silver contest up in the air as well, couldn't it? Right now, it is then the Audi of Karol Bash leading. There, Callan Williams in second and Cesar Gazzo in third. But the gap has stretched a bit. BMW to Mercedes. The Audi leads the way. Karol Bash, I said on the grid, was an underrated driver, and he's doing a good job at the moment. 11th overall.
So coming into turn 10, and you can see the field just streaming out at 9. If you want to go defensive, you saw one of the cars coming out and staying on the left side of the track as they come down into turn 10 to block out anybody trying to make that dive down the inside.
BMW back on the tail of the Audi, so Karol Bash does have the advantage, but Callan Williams now starting to become a bit more of a factor. This is the end of lap number 5, so the BMW may be taking a bit longer to turn on its tyres. Either way, it is now looking a bit more of a threat to the Audi. Leader comes over the line. Niederhauser 6/10 up just over Gamble. Then you've got Drudy in third place. Engel runs fourth. Replay of the start. Look there on the grass. Charles Wirtz in the BMW. Briefly got himself back on again. Sometimes race officials take a dim view of overtaking off the track. 2 wheels were off, not all 4.
Not very good for traction. Nevertheless, he managed to keep the car on a straight line, but he ends up running directly behind an Audi. So all that anticipation of the start paid for very little.
A little bit of hip and shoulder, I think, in the pack as well as they swarmed down towards turn 1. But Patrick Niederhauser going into that first corner, maintaining the advantage. Others being forced out wide. And then there's a preferred route to rejoin safely. And in the background, that was the contact that did the tyre for Simon Gachet, and he had to lift the car back round. So we talked about it being a pinch point. More evidence offered up as there. Callan Williams then, the Australian driver, onto the back of the Audi. Let's listen in on number 30's team radio, the BMW.
Image behind, brake bias is slightly forward. You can use it for rotation if you need. Do what you need.
Adjustment of the brake bias to try and make that an even quicker car.
Yeah, there's so many adjustments the cars have got, and in some cases the way that the brake bias is linked, it also can have a benefit on time. Look at the Audi getting itself into trouble on the exit, and you'd think almost that right rear tyre was beginning to go down. It's just, I think, it's the image of the car hop, skipping and jumping over the curb through turn 7 and then into the exit of turn 8.
As yesterday's winner, Jules Gounon, he will give over that car to Max Goertz, but right now doing the dutiful thing, staying further back in the queue than the championship leading Mercedes of Mauro Engel. There's the gold Audi, Gold Cup leading Audi number 6 of Luca Engstler. That's another new team to GT World Challenge Europe this year, the Engstler squad, so a championship win would be quite something.
Not very much Callan Williams is able to do against the Audi as they come down into turn 1. Although the car is quicker in overall in a lap time, and the driver is certainly getting some sort of thoughts about how he can maybe improve the car's performance by making adjustments on the brake balance. Now, it's not going to make a massive difference, but it might just give him something that he can begin to work with, and if he can make the overall balance that little bit better, and then he picks up a speed as a consequence, that might put him in a position to have a challenge on best in currently in 11th position.
Now there is the Audi going through in the hands of Luca Engstler. Jules Gounon next up. Remember, Luca Engstler and Max Hofer leading the Gold Cup in the championship, and those top speeds are through this corner, 166 kilometers an hour, illustrating what a quick right-hander that is, and it's uphill.
Yes, and it's tricky. You can't really see the apex until you arrive on it, so you have to prejudge it. It's a difficult corner because it's not the apex that's the problem, it's the exit. If you get the exit wrong, you get the car fully off the racetrack, and that's where track limit observations are being made. And anybody who, I'm just watching the Ferrari right on the tail of the 9 Mercedes. So track limits are being exercised throughout the weekend.
Well, right now, there you can see Jules Gounon, who is under attack from Giacomo Altway in number 69 Ferrari. There it is, the Red Bull-backed car, with Thierry Vermeulen as his co-driver. It is Vermeulen Senior, who is the manager of Max Verstappen, so that's where all the Red Bull links come from. Over the line, they have poured lead gap up fractionally to 0.8 of a second. Now, Charles Weerts is still stuck 9th on the road, and currently is 7th in class. And the start of car 32 is under investigation. Charles Weerts' start under investigation. That presumably for putting 2 wheels on the grass and overtaking.
I'm assuming it could be that. Maybe the assumption is that did he actually throttle, did he go for it before the lights went to green? So there's 2 issues might want to be looked at. In other words, the reason he went out to the right and got 2 wheels on the grass was because he anticipated the lights going out and he had to check up and pull over to the right.
Well, it was certainly brave, but whether it's deemed to be a good start by race control or whether it's worthy of a penalty, time will tell, but it's just not going WRT's way. Charles Weerts and Dries Van Voort looking for a 4th Sprint Cup championship, but tough weekend all round. They're the leader, down towards turn 10. Patrick Niederhauser and Mathieu Drudy there in the Aston Martin, looking a little bit nearer to Tom Gamble. 0.7 of a second it was between them at the start of the lap, and as Gamble drops away slightly now, Niederhauser escapes up the road. That car, Maro Engel at the wheel of it, heading for the title seemingly with Lucas Auer. Maro Engel has tried for so many years to win the Sprint Cup title, and it's never happened. There was 1 year he lost out on a tie-break. It went to the number of wins because they were tied on points. So he's so determined to win it this year. Coming out of turn 14, you can see the top speeds there. Tom Gamble, the bravest through that part of the track.
Yeah, fractionally quicker through turn 14 than through turn 9. Slightly easier corner, but again you've got the issue about running wide, the track limits on the exit. You can see the Ferrari just in the background, how wide he got all 4 wheels effectively off the racetrack, but no, not an issue in this instance. So 2 corners, turn 9, turn 14, about around 165 to 170 kilometers per hour at the apex.
So turning their way out of turn 1 go the race leaders. There the Ferrari a little bit further back in the queue of Sean Hudspeth. And that other Porsche, the sister car to the leader, that's leading in bronze. That's the one that Rob Collard really needs to get past to help his chances. But we've still got 45 minutes to go, so it's not over yet. As struggling a bit here in the Sky Tempesta Ferrari is Jonathan Hui, stuck in traffic and he can't find a way through.
Well, he's looking for a way through on the exit of turn 2, but lost ground in the process. So he's just got to be patient, and coming through this long right-hand turn 3, cars all filter out to the right-hand side of the track, and they stay there as they make their approach here into turn 4. So it's a part of the racetrack where you don't often see very much change of position. Just the nature of the racetrack and such, particularly that long turn 3 makes it very difficult.
So there Jonathan Hui down to 4th with Eddie Cheever in the championship in bronze now, but don't think necessarily everything is going to stay this way, because after the pit stops in some cars there'll be different pace of drivers in the bronze competition. There'll be a shuffle around. You'll have, for example, Sandy Mitchell, Lamborghini factory driver, taking over from Rob Collard. You'll have BMW factory driver Dan Harper taking over from Darren Lung. So it's going to be interesting to see how the second stint pans out, as here Jonathan Hui lines up to have a go on the inside of Dmitry Gavatseva, and he goes by. Good move.
Yes, it was a late move but a good move, but he's run too wide on the exit and lets the Lamborghini slide up the undercut, and that's always the penalty of taking that line, that tight line. You can't check the speed up enough, so your the front of the car basically just washes out, and the car you've just overtaken can make that undercut, which is what we've seen, an example of what would look like a great overtake, but as at the end of the day, the place was given back.
And here is Giacomo Altway in his battle with Jules Gounon, going round the outside, up at turn 12. Whoa, bit of hip and shoulder between those two. Jules Gounon says, still my place, mate.
Yeah, that was more than a friendly tap, but it's just the nature again of the, particularly turn 12 cars are going to run out naturally. If you want to go the long way around, you do so at your own risk.
So the Emil Frey Ferrari, Emil Frey Racing, Giacomo Altway at the wheel of it, running in 7th place. The sister car of Consta Lapalainen has been shuffled down to 14th place right now as they clip the curb coming out of turn 7, make the climb up the hill. Through turn 9 goes Gunol, goes then Vermeulen. Pit window, just to make the point, between 25 and 35 minutes. There is a specified pit stop time for bronze, but everybody else, all the other classes, it can be as quick as possible. So this is where you can win or lose position. 78 Lamborghini is Rob Collard, and he's 1.6 seconds back from Dustin Blattner's Porsche, and on the last lap was quicker.
And on that pit stop, just looking where Charles Fates is in the BMW in 9th position. If they could do one of their magic pit stops and get in and out, and maybe pick up 3 or 4 tenths of a, or 2 or 3, maybe 4 seconds over their competition, they could actually elevate themselves very quickly up into the top 6. It's not going to be enough, I doubt, to catch the 48 Mercedes, but certainly it will give them the option to try. Where they are right now, they're buried in traffic, and there's not an awful lot more they're able to do.
As coming out of turn 14, number 97 Porsche, then Dustin Blattner leading in bronze. 188 McLaren has been retired with rear damage, and there are 2 more cars having their starts looked at. Callan Williams is one, and Alex Arca in the Audi number 99 is another. Arca running in 10th and Williams in 12th. So race control being busy again as the drivers here thread their way out of turn 2. Road starts to climb at this point. And turn 3, a long corner. You can hear the driver being patient with the throttle.
Yeah, you really sort of have to balance the steering and the throttle, because as you get midway through turn 3, then as for the front of the car tends to want to begin to wash its way out to the outside of a corner. So you don't want that, because that's going to lose your time. If you can keep the car, check the car, that it doesn't run out until you've reached the exit of the corner. But mid-corner, running out wide, not a good deal.
Now this for the lead of the Silver Cup in the race. Carol Bash under attack from Callan Williams. That BMW has now caught a light, if you like, and it's right there on the tail of the Audi. So Carol Bash tries to defend down to turn 10. Callan Williams goes to the outside. He's still leading the championship from Cesar Garzoa and Aurelian Panis, but Bash fending him off, and the Audi sprinting clear coming out of the corner.
Yeah, the Audi looked actually the better of the 2 cars as they were going through turn 10. Callan Williams seemed to be a little bit wider and lost a little bit of grip as a consequence. But wait and see now coming through turns 13 down the drop downhill into turn 14. Started all over again, but the advantage marginally is to Carol Bash. There he is in his Audi, and the straight line performance of the BMW vis-a-vis the Audi is negligible, so not much you can do, even with the benefit of the aero toe.
Callan Williams in the orange BMW there has a new co-driver for this weekend, Sean Galal, who races one of these cars in a different championship, in the World Endurance Championship, but on a different tyre. So here it feels a bit different. And yesterday, in the qualifying session, he rather struggled. So it's going to be interesting in that second stint to see where number 30 BMW can remain in relation to the number 10 Mercedes with which it fights in the championship.
Well, Sean Galal was an experienced driver, a very competitive driver, but he jumped in literally on a car that he hadn't sat on with the tyres that are running this championship, the Pirelli tyre. So he's going to do an awful lot of hard work, and really it's going to be a struggle for the 30 BMW to consolidate where they are due to simply not having enough track time.
You're on board with Jonathan Hui in the Sky Tempesta Ferrari, and Andre Mukavoz is just up the road in 24th place. And if you think 24th doesn't sound all that good, the car started last, and this was built up overnight. This is the spare Audi that you're looking at out of the windscreen. The original car was virtually destroyed in the accident yesterday, so the team spent all night building up the spare car, and there it is, going well. Fair play.
Yeah, we came past the original 66 Audi, and it's a biffer bin job, I would say. There's not an awful lot of it looks like it could be recycled. So here we go, a good pass by Jonathan Hui to get up the inside again, but watch for the overlap. The Lamborghini trying to find a way through, puts 2 wheels on the curbs on the inside. Yep.
Goes by. Dimitra Gavatseva in that Lamborghini going ahead of Andre Mukavoz as well. And behind them in the queue is the other Barwell Lamborghini of Gabriel Rindoni. So all of this is shuffling around in bronze. Doesn't affect the championship because the championship fighters are further up the road. But this is how Jonathan Hui managed to do it.
Yes, so coming out of turn 5, just stuck to the tail of the Audi. He decides I'm going to go up the inside and tries to get it alongside, and he gets it alongside sufficiently at that point to get the position.
3 more laps.
So the team saying well done, and how many more laps to the pit stop. So Jonathan Hui comes through, goes over the timing line, now down towards the completion of a lap. And there, look, Darren Lung is coming under attack because he's got Mathis Liesmont in the Aston Martin up behind him. Now, they're in different classes, but Darren Lung doesn't want to be losing track position too much. You want to be as near to your championship rivals for the second stint as you can be, not losing track places.
And what Darren Lung will also be thinking about is when I come in, hand this car over to Dan Harper, I know Dan Harper is a quicker driver than I am, and I'm going to give him the best opportunity to consolidate and make further progress.
So right now, the BMW is third in bronze. Championship rival Collard second in bronze. Darren Lung hard at work. Considering he's not been racing for that many years, only about 4 or 5 seasons, he's done a lot of mileage in a short space of time and has come on hugely. Been in the gym a great deal over the winter. He's fitter than ever, lighter, and hugely committed to his racing, and it's all paying dividends.
Yes, runs a pretty good ship, one might say. So, again, you can't buy speed. It's just based on driving, miles, experience. And if you've got a quick teammate as he's got in Dan Harper, the crossover, the feedback that one can give the other is another way of sort of accelerating that whole process.
Now this is the Rob Collard view, and he is getting closer to Dustin Blattner, isn't he? So Collard getting to the end of his stint, and expect Rob to be in early to give way to Sandy Mitchell. Darren Lung will do likewise for Dan Harper. But crucially, that Lamborghini is going to end the opening stint much nearer to the class-leading Porsche. And Sandy Mitchell versus Dennis Marshall in the second part of the race will be really interesting.
Yeah, and I just wonder, we've got a minute and a half before the pit lane opens. Are we going to see Rob Collard come in at that earliest opportunity to hand over to Sandy Mitchell? Because, again, your teammates, with respect to Rob Collard, Sandy Mitchell is the quicker of the two drivers. And therefore, it might be appropriate to get your quick driver in at the earliest opportunity, assuming that the entire field hasn't got that same thought in mind.
So there is Dustin Blattner coming through turn 4. Rob Collard edging a little bit nearer to him as the field comes then towards the end of lap number 14. And the pit window open in just over a minute's time. 10-minute pit window in this race. Collard hard at work. He knows this car inside out, having been racing it not only in this championship but also in Britain. Up the curve goes the Porsche, and that unsettles it.
It did. The back end of the Porsche stepped out, and that would be good news for Rob Collard. He'll have seen that and thinks, if I can get just that little bit closer to him.
There's a yellow flag in the first sector, so somebody's had a moment within the first part of the lap, and that could be significant as we head towards the pit window here. So looking down from the drone, chasing the Rob Collard Lamborghini up the hill now through turn 12.
And this group of cars are going to have to do one more lap before the pit lane will be open. So we're sort of just 15 seconds away, and the cars are now coming out of turn 13, and the pit lane entry was to turn 14, so the entry was at the gap between 13 and 14, so they'll have to do one more lap.
The yellow flag is because the other Lamborghini from Barwell of Gabriel Indoni has stopped at turn 2. There it is, and it's in the gravel at turn 2. I think that's got there with a bit of help, don't you?
Need to have a look at it again. I mean, you wouldn't see a car backwards in against the wall. It may well have been an assistance, but we may have a replay of that to be able to run it in a minute or two.
Right, pit window is open then, so 72 off the road. And the pit window is open. Some of the bronze back markers taking advantage because it's open for them. Their track position means they can come in early. Here is the overall race leader, and that is Patrick Niederhauser.
Yeah, the gap's been sort of seesawing between just under a second and fractionally over a second, as we see now. Just on the last lap, for the first time actually, the Porsche's got just a second and a bit of an advantage. But both Niederhauser and Tom Gamble are going to stay out. There's no reason for them to come in. Well, I say that. They're both coming in.
Well, they can come in early if you like, because possibly the teams seeing a car in the gravel are thinking, let's see if we can use this to our advantage. Gamble almost into the back of the Porsche as he brakes late.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tom Gamble sort of saw the back of the Porsche coming towards him very quickly indeed.
But yeah, some of the teams might be thinking, right, car in the gravel, there might well be an interruption, so let's try and get the pit stop done and see if that works in our favour. The WRT BMW is in as well. Amaro Engel, the championship leader, is in also. So yellow flags down at turn 2. Pit stop, cycle through. Remember, in the pro gold and silver classes, these are as quick as they can be done. No time limit.
Question will be, is that car that's off down at turn 2 in a position that's a vulnerable or a dangerous position, or are they going to have to go full course yellow, then ultimately safety car to retrieve it? And at which point anybody who's making their pit stop at this time is going to be fundamentally a winner.
So we'll see how long the field takes to cycle through all the pit stops. They have a 10-minute window, but if they're all done within 2 or 3 laps, it might be that then, once everyone has done them, we go to yellow because no one's being disadvantaged through the pit stop. You're currently with the Collard-Mitchell Lamborghini. Rob Collard out. The Nottingham-based Scot Sandy Mitchell gets on board. And there is Thierry Vermeulen ahead of Dries van Thor joining the race. And behind is Max Hoffer heading for goal championship success.
Yeah, and that indicates to me that WRT have done their business to get their car in and out and to get ahead of the Audi, which was a car that was very competitive. Liqui Moly Team Ensler, they've done a good job. That's one car they've overtaken in the pit lane.
So 32 will be back on track. 48.5 seconds was the pit stop that they did for that car against 52.8 for number 48 Mercedes. So yet again, big time savings from WRT. They are so good in these pit stops.
Yeah, actually the Boots and VDS team have done an even quicker one.
And I think we've just had a change to the lead of bronze, have we not? Because that's Sandy Mitchell ahead of Dennis Marshall. So in the pits, the bronze lead has changed.
Good job by Barwell Motorsport to do so. And again, that's easy to do it in the pit lane, and if you can get in and out ahead of your competition, it's more difficult to pass on the track.
Of course, the bronze cars do have a specified pit in to pit out time. Sandy Mitchell ahead of Dennis Marshall. It's going to be a really interesting fight, this, because look, Marshall is absolutely on his toes on this outlap. Tries to go around the outside of the Lamborghini, gets the undercut coming off the corner. Sandy Mitchell has got to stay ahead to try to have any chance of winning the class in the championship. Dennis Marshall being crowded up the curve onto the grass. He's on the inside at 7. Sandy Mitchell's on the curb at 8, and he's bouncing back onto the road, but Marshall is ahead of him.
I mean, a big commitment from Dennis Marshall. He did a good job. Sandy Mitchell defended as strongly as he was possible, but just Dennis Marshall, I'm coming through regardless. And he had more pace. We could see it from the point when they came out of turn 4 into turn 5, and then that run through 6 and into 7, and that was a very determined Dennis Marshall who saw the opportunity and made it work.
Was it ever a determined Dennis Marshall? So lost out on the pit stops, and this was the move, John.
Yeah, so it's all the beginning, and well, actually this has come out of turn 7, and look, you can see Sandy Mitchell has been disadvantaged by running 2 wheels over the gravel on the inside, then the car gets into a bit of a hop, skip and a jump, and by which point the Porsche is ahead and cleared the Lamborghini. So Sandy Mitchell, not an awful lot he could do, because he was basically in no position to shut the door onto the Porsche got alongside.
So great driving. Dennis Marshall goes through, still got that yellow flag down at turn 2, as you see there, number 30, Sean Galal, who's now dropped back behind Mercedes number 10. So changes in bronze, changes in silver as well. Aurelian Panis now has got himself up ahead of the Callum Williams started. Now Sean Galal driven BMW, and that's looking good for the championship for the Mercedes drivers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the 30 BMW because I'll just have a look and see what's going on the pit. Okay, so the overtake actually was a consequence of coming out of the pit lane.
So that's going to put the Mercedes number 10 in the pound seats for the Silver Championship. We've got 29.5 minutes, give or take, still to go. So the Boots and VDS car number 10, the sister car number 9, won outright yesterday. The order shuffling because of people making the pit stops and rejoining. But right now, the Porsche number 96 still in charge. So over the line goes number 10. Aurelian Panis at the wheel. The last couple of cars just joining back in after the stops. So that is everybody now that has made a pit stop. If the race director feels that he needs to get the Lamborghini out of the gravel, now is probably the time, because everybody has served the stop. Easier to manage now.
Yes, it would be, and also the main thing is that nobody's been disadvantaged, which would have been a shame if you had to. If you were forced to remove the car because it was in a dangerous position, that's one thing. But if it's in a position which isn't pressing, then let the pit stop window close, and then we can go about removing the car if that's what race direction decides to do.
So right now, there Aurelian Panis drops downhill, chasing the traffic, and looking as though the silver title may well be heading their way. It'll be interesting to see, though, how many places, if any more, Sean Gallard loses. At the moment, 15th is Sean Gallard in number 30, the Callum Williams car, but he struggled a bit for pace yesterday. Ugo de Wilde has taken over from Dimitri Gavatseva, and their Lamborghini is under investigation for its pit stop. There, number 6 Audi, the red, white and blue Audi, just creeping out of shot. But that is the car that could be taking gold championship honours, which would be quite something, first year in the championship. Now the race is being led currently by Sven Muller, number 96, and in second place Matthew Drudy in number 7 Audi. Aston Martin, 2.2 seconds between them. So Drudy has got ahead of the McLaren of Goethe on the pit stops, with Lucas Auer there 4th and Max Goetz behind him 5th.
Yes, and that puts the 48 Mercedes in that sort of comfortable 4th position. Dries van Thor, who's taken over the 32 BMW from Charles Viet, is in 7th position. So as long as the 48 Mercedes stays ahead of the 32 BMW, it's their championship.
It is. 32 in the meantime is up into 7th, which is also actually where it was in class anyway, 7th. But there is hope now for Van Thor that he might be able to do something about Thierry Vermeulen. So we'll keep an eye on 32. Every place is going to help. Here, Ben Green, number 14 in the dark blue Ferrari, and he's got himself up ahead of Sean Gallard. Now that doesn't matter for points, one is in pro and one is in silver, but it's illustrative of the fact that Gallard is struggling and dropping places. He's going to lose another one to Simon Reicher, and that does matter because that is within the silver championship.
Yeah, Gallard had only a few laps in the car in dry conditions, and it didn't look particularly comfortable yesterday morning. Then of course the events of Saturday afternoon, and the track was pretty much flooded for the best part of the race, and then what can he do? He didn't do the qualifying this morning. That was done by Callum Williams. They had to put Gallard in on Saturday for qualifying because that was the first time he was going to drive the car.
Now Callum Williams, look, is still leading in the championship in silver, but the more places Gallard loses, the more the chances are of Williams not winning it. So there's nothing that Callum can do. He's just got to sit there and bite everything possible and see what he can do. Fastest lap of the race, Eddie Cheever, incidentally. Let's go to the radio of car 30.
Information, Ferrari behind is in pro, but Audi behind is for position. Eyes forward, Ferrari behind is in pro. But Audi behind is for position. Eyes forward.
And that was the radio from about half a lap ago, just to explain that the Ferrari's not worth fighting, but the Audi is. The Ferrari is in a different class. But yeah, talking Ferrari, the fastest lap of anybody in the race is Eddie Cheever's from the Bronze Cup.
I mean, why, where and how? I mean, explain. Nevertheless, a great lap by Eddie Cheever. This illustrates the pace that Ferrari have got. Again, Cheever on fresh rubber, probably a good, clear opening flying lap, and he was able to put that lap in.
Quick driver, quick car, possibly clear track space. It all helps. So Eddie Cheever, fair play, fastest lap, as Sean Gallard, in fairness to him, is doing his level best to hang on to that place, isn't he? Simon Reicher still behind him, hasn't gone by. Then you've got Dante Raponge in the queue, but at Boots and VDS, Cesar Gazo is looking a bit more optimistic about life.
Yeah, and I think that every lap goes by, Sean Gallard will drive himself in basically to the characteristics of the car, the circuit and whatever, and once he begins to feel that actually I've got the position, the Audi in my control, and I can then begin to maybe accelerate and drive away.
So the race leaders are currently on lap number 20, and we've got just under 25 minutes of the race of the Sprint Cup season to go. There is, of course, the overall championship where endurance and sprint points are combined, and the Endurance Cup finishes at the end of November in Jeddah, somewhere new for the teams and new for the championship. So Porsche leads by 2.6 seconds. Sven Muller still in charge, and this battle pack behind Sean Gallard, the queue is growing. He is, to an extent, the cork in the bottle, but they've not popped the cork.
No. But clearly the Audi running behind Gallard is going to be the quicker of the two cars. But again, usual story here in Barcelona, you can catch, but where do you find a way around without having contact or without putting yourself into jeopardy?
Lovely shot down from turn 14 from the drone. You can see the nature of the circuit. Grandstands on one side, busy paddock on the other, and past the pits go the field, down this long pit straight towards turn 1, and a long pit straight means a heavy braking zone as well.
Yeah, big break at the end of the pit straight, then you sort of get a chance to relax momentarily. As we go back to the 48 Mercedes, Lucas Auer behind the wheel, currently in 4th place overall. And there's sort of a bit of like a cash and collect almost drive for the man racing Mercedes, because they've got all the hard yards done in qualifying. a good pit stop in out. Maro Engel sitting back comfortably. Yeah, Maro, we're all happy for you.
Yeah, he's come so close to winning this in the past. And Lucas Auer, the nephew of Gerhard Berger, the former Grand Prix racer, new to World Challenge Europe for a full campaign, and it looks as though they're going to take the championship, because right now it's quite a margin between them and Charles Witz and Dries van Thorn. Now look at second and third. They have got themselves together just up the road here. Nicolas Bart is ahead of Benjamin Goethe. Nicolas Bart quick, but is he as quick as Goethe?
I don't think so. And Benjamin Goethe has caught the Aston Martin as a 007, the winner of the Spa 24 Hours this year. And I feel that Benjamin Goethe is thinking, I've got an opportunity to take second place away. If I just think about it and don't be too impatient. Coming down this long main straight, just sticks the nose out, gives the Aston Martin a hint that I'm right there, but it'll be around this part of the circuit all the way back to turn 14 that we might expect to see something coming from Benjamin Goethe.
So the cars come out of turn 3, lap 22, 22 minutes are on the clock. And this little battle is going to help Sven Muller, isn't it? He's quick anyway, but if these two hold each other up, he's going to be able to build that gap even further. 3.4 seconds he is to the good right now.
You can see in those last 3 laps ago, he took out 0.3 of a second. Now he's closed within whatever 2 car lengths. Then that gap has dropped just fractions over a 100th of a second. And that's the consequence of running so close to the car that you're in competition with. And it'll be the pace now of the Aston Martin that's going to dictate the pace of Benjamin Goethe, unless he can reset and think about it, and where am I strong and where would the Aston maybe not be so good. Or where would it be vulnerable, principally?
Incidentally, we've gone back to green at turn 2. That car that was in the gravel has been removed, so the road is cleared. That's bad news for Lucas Legere. He was hoping a safety car would allow him to recover from the pit stop he had for the puncture earlier on. That car is leading the Gold Championship right now, and it is the Luca Engschler-Max Hofer car. It is second in class in the race, but the championship beckons for Team Engschler with One Group Engineering, Ron Hartfeldt's team, that have been new into this championship this year. And when I spoke to Ron Hartfeldt at the start of the season at Brands Hatch, and I said, what's the aim? He said, well, by the end of the season, we'd like to have earned respect, which I thought was a great way of phrasing it. Earned respect? Well, they're going to earn a championship by the look of it, and that's quite a season.
Yeah, to come in sort of stone cold and do what they've done this year has been very, very impressive indeed. And if they can walk away with a championship in their pocket, I don't know what more they can improve upon them when they go into a second season.
Sure, and if that doesn't gain you respect, I don't know what does. Right now, Max Hofer on the back of the Audi there of Lorenzo Ferrari, and he's under attack from another Audi as well, which is 99 of Ricardo Feller, who was with Mathieu Drudi, the champion in Sprint Cup last year, but it's been a much tougher season in the Audi this year. Engschler, the Team Engschler car has been an absolute rocket ship, especially at Hockenheim, remember, early on in the year.
Yeah, just coming out of the exit of turn 3, you can see what's happening gradually. Cars are losing front end bite, and they're running well off 2 wheels, more than 2 wheels in some cases, off the exit of the corner. Oh, here we go, the battle for the second and third position. And Benjamin Goethe is trying, but he's in that window now. His lap time is totally dictated by that of the Aston Martin, and nothing Goethe has been able to do over the last couple of laps to make a meaningful attempt or a move to find a way around the Aston.
Go along with that. Let's listen into number 007's radio. Nicolas Bart at the wheel of it.
Nico, we have only one warning on track limit, so you can be a bit aggressive. But don't check exit turn 5 and exit last corner. You can use there. Exit last corner, exit turn 5.
So they're encouraging the driver to exploit track limits because he's only got one warning, and you've got a little bit more leniency than that. So where possible, they're telling Nicolas Bart, be a bit more aggressive, use a bit more road.
Well, just all he had to do was look in his mirrors and see how far off the track Benjamin Goethe was coming through. Contact with one of the Astons.
That's down at turn 10, and Dante Rapponge gets going again, rejoins the circuit. And how did he get there? I think there was contact from a Ferrari, conceivably. Alessio Dono, bang, clatters up the inside.
Yeah, I mean, the Ferrari went into no man's land. There was no space. The Aston was committed to turning in.
And Nicolas Bart, in fairness, is doing a good job in his Aston of keeping at bay the McLaren. So for Andrew Kokotti's Garage 59 team, Benjamin Goethe still can't quite do it.
Well, what I can see Nicolas Bart is doing is anticipating what Goethe might want to do, and he's shutting down that opportunity. So it's frustration for Benjamin Goethe because he's being sort of controlled very much by the Aston. Now again, he showed his nose coming up into turn 7, but was no way in a position to make that situation stick.
Nervous faces looking on. So as you see there, 159 of Benjamin Goethe, who's really come on hugely since his first tentative steps into GT racing in the wet at Monza a few years back. And not only is he on the back of Nicolas Bart, they're both being caught by Lucas Auer there in the Mercedes.
But what Bart is doing in turn 10, he's just turning in and hugging the inside line of the corner. And he's not particularly quick, but he's able to forestall anybody behind.
Downhill drops a McLaren, still with 48 on its tail then, Lucas Auer. So coming now through turn 14. And the Aston Martin in a straight line seems to be able to pull away as they come past the pits. But the Aston, similar concept, I guess, to the Mercedes. Front engine, lots of grunt.
Yeah, I mean, the performance of all these cars in the straight line is more or less equal. But if you come off turn 14, fractionally quicker than the car that you're leading, and again, it'll be an aerodynamic effect that's affecting the McLaren, as Mauro Engel looks back and watches his co-driver Lucas Auer, who's been gradually catching up to the tail of this battle for second and third.
But we could be on for a Porsche win here because Sven Muller is away and gone up the road. Second, third, fourth, running together. And Lucas Auer has got the pace, hasn't he? He's caught up with these two, but now he needs to make a decision. Do I race them? Do I try and gain a position? Or do I keep out of trouble, sit here and bank points?
Correct.
What's he going to do?
You got it.
What's he going to do?
He's just going to sit and watch. If he gets involved, he can put himself into a position where he may not be able to control the consequences. But he's going to watch and see what McLaren's going to do. Is it going to make a move? Is it going to be irrational? Or is it also sort of stuck in a situation where Nicolas Bart is closing off options that Benjamin Goethe would like to exercise, particularly coming down the hill here into turn 10. Watch the way the Aston turns in, and it then just sort of hugs. Well, we'd like to have seen that, but we didn't get to see it. It tends to hug the inside line coming in to turn 5.
So there's second, third and fourth. You're fifth at the moment in the drone, and hovering above Lucas Auer's Mercedes. Go through turn 13, drop down the hill. There it is coming towards turn 14. Not that far behind is Max Goetz, but he's not going to challenge Lucas Auer, knowing, as another Mercedes factory driver, what's at stake for the yellow Winward Racing Man filter car ahead.
So the lead Porsche just going out of sight. Second place, Aston Martin. And then really tucked under the rear wing, you can see the Gulf Racing colours of the McLaren, Garage 159 entry. And Lucas Auer just hovering around, thinking, well, I've got no challenges from behind. The Dries van Thor driven BMW number 32 is running in 7th place behind Thierry Vermeulen, and that car is about over 2.5 seconds behind the Ferrari, so it's not going to make any further progress.
Lucas Auer then onto the back of Benjamin Goethe, who took over that car from Tom Gamble. Nicolas Bart, I'm tempted to suggest, is having the race of his life in a way here, because in the past we used to see him in, for example, the silver or the gold cup doing well, but further down the order. Here, he's taken over a car that's now up into second place, and he is repelling star names.
And he seems to be able to do it. Basically, he's got a car that's quicker than the competition around him in a straight line, and when you get onto a part of the racetrack where you've got maybe 300 or 400 yards of straight, because he's on the throttle a little bit earlier, he must have reasonably good traction likewise to make that horsepower stick to the tyres, to the ground. So he's thinking about it, and he's doing a very good job behind the wheel.
So in gold, Enschler and Hoffer heading towards the championship, and you're riding with Matt Hoffer right now then in the Team Enschler with One Group Engineering Audi. They had a run, remember, with the Lamborghini that they ran in the DTM at Hockenheim, where they had all that knowledge and data available, but the Audi has been a loyal servant all year. There, behind them on the road, is the Cesar Gazzo Aurelian Panis Mercedes. Aurelian Panis at the wheel, and that car in silver is leading, but Sean Galal is hanging on to second place, so Callan Williams is hanging on to that championship lead therefore. There he is, there's the car.
Yeah, and fundamentally, as I mentioned earlier, Sean Galal, who's got lots of experience of this chassis, but not with these tyres, is basically just getting to grips with what the tyre is going to give him and the balance of the car and how it all feeds back to the driver, and he's managed to keep the Audi behind, in spite of probably initially lapping slower than those 3 cars that are following.
So over the line goes Sean Galal, who is rising to the challenge here, isn't he, for co-driver Callum Williams. And despite Boots and VDS doing everything it possibly can to help its drivers, it looks as though, for the moment at least, WRT will salvage the Silver Cup Championship. Simon Riker behind in the Audi. Then you've got 71 of Alessio Dono. And behind that, Gilles Magnus, who was another outside bet for the Gold Cup, but it's been a tough weekend for that Santa Loc Audi. Gilles Magnus, who we keep banging on about because he's a bit of a star, but he's had a tough weekend here.
Yeah, Paul Everard, who qualified the car this morning, didn't qualify as strongly as Gilles Magnus would have done, and again, it's the handicap of starting back in the middle of the pack or even towards the tail of the pack.
Let's listen to number 30 again.
Just get back into your rhythm, get back into your rhythm. So you only have one warning, it's T30. All good, the car has 2 in total. 9 to go, 9 to go.
So 9 laps left is the suggestion, and Sean Galal being talked back into his rhythm by the engineer, calming him down, and he is doing what's required here. He's fending the pack off.
Yeah, he's been giving a bit of tutorage by just get back into your rhythm. Don't let that rhythm be broken. Don't let it be distracted by what's going on. You know, behind you, you've got 3 cars all lined up, and if one of the 3 gets through, it's quite liable. The other 2, the Ferrari going side by side with Gilles Magnus. Now Magnus looking to see if he can run around the outside going into turn 11.
So the number 97, Dennis Marshall Porsche, which has pulled a long way clear, actually, of Sandy Mitchell. So that outlap was good for Dennis Marshall, but Sandy Mitchell's not been able to fight back.
And part of the reason he's been able to pull away so quickly is because he's also just recorded the fastest race lap, which was set about 4 or 5 laps ago. So that car with Dennis Marshall behind the wheel has been a quick car, and it was quick from the minute it left the pit lane.
So that means that Dan Harper and Darren Lung are still on to win that part of the championship. So it's looking good for the BMW partnership as their Sandy Mitchell comes up onto the back of David Pittard, whose Aston is fading a bit. Dennis Marshall has got ahead of him, and as there you see Dan Harper, he is doing everything that's required to win the class in the championship. They are 3rd in bronze in the race, but for the season-long points, they're ahead.
Yeah, just looking at Dan Harper's the best lap and his current lap, he's running in the low 1 minute 43s, so his fastest lap. And look at Darren Lung, got the headset on, being able to, I don't know if he wants to talk to Dan Harper, I hope he doesn't, let Dan focus on what he's doing, but listening into the radio traffic between the engineers and the driver.
So Darren Lung accelerates down the hill. Sorry, Dan Harper accelerates down the hill, I should say, and last year's joint British GT champion with Darren Lung doing what's required, so driving to a race, rhythm, a pace that's going to give them the championship. So the BMW comes towards us. Darren Lung, who's been splitting his time between this, the World Endurance Championship, the odd outing in British GT, World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup. Meanwhile, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, still in the same order. In other words, Nicolas Barr just ahead there of Benjamin Goethe tucked up behind him, and Lucas Auer thinking, well, go on then, try something, see if you can offer me a gap. But Lucas Auer is not going to force the issue because he knows what's at stake.
If we can just maybe follow the Aston Martin, the McLaren gets close on the exit of turn 5. But watch how Bart is placing his car. He's denying the McLaren any opportunity. Just you saw there going through turn 6. And again, coming through 7, he slows down and forces the McLaren to back off as well. Then he gets on the throttle, accelerates hard through 8 all the way up to turn 9. And then it'll be the drop down from turn 9 down into turn 10. This is where Goethe might think he's going to get an opportunity. But watch the Aston Martin. It'll make its way down. It'll hug pretty much the line, inside line of the corner, to deny any chance for Benjamin Goethe to get up the inside. So that's clever thinking from a driver in a car which is not as quick as those 2 behind him, but he's making a super job of it.
Yeah, it's a good defence. He's got 9 more minutes to go as you're riding on board with Lucas Auer, so 4th place. Into turn 13, down a gear, turn right, get the nose of the car in.
I think that time the McLaren looked quite a lot stronger than the Aston coming onto the straight. We're sitting on board the 48 Mercedes, just getting a driver's eye view of what's going on. But if Benjamin Goethe thinks he's going to get an opportunity, it may well come late in this race. Gilles Magnus has got ahead of Sean Galal.
He has indeed, and that therefore means that the BMW drops back a place, but they're in different classes, so it doesn't matter for points. Galal possibly being told on the radio, you can let that one go, but defend for the green and purple Audi, because that is in the same category. That is in silver. And this is how the Audi went through. And Sean Galal, yeah, a bit of a wobble, bit of a nudge. And that's the last thing that Callum Williams needs to be seeing, with his car being roughed up when he's trying to win a championship. And while he's stood in the pit road watching his co-driver at work, he's completely powerless.
I don't even know if Sean Galal knew that that car was not in his own in the class that he's racing in. He just saw an Audi attacking him and he thought, I'm going to make it as difficult as I possibly can.
Now, next in the queue behind Sean Galal, you've got 3 more out of the class, because there is Simon Riker, there's Alessio Dono in the Ferrari, so he's going to hang on to track position if he can. Here's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th overall. They're all being caught by Max Goertz now, yesterday's race winner, as they come up from turn 10, but Nicolas Bart in this very defensive Aston Martin. I mean, he's not doing anything wrong, he's not doing anything dirty, he's just driving it sensibly, but to defend very well, he's still 2nd.
Yes, and it's been a drive of defence from Nicolas Bart. He's not had the pace to be able to lead on out-and-out speed. The Mercedes behind, the McLaren behind are clearly able to lap quicker, but they're not able to put themselves into the position. And again, coming onto this long straight, it seems that Aston, maybe they've gone for a slightly lower downforce setup to give them a benefit here to stretch that advantage as they come off turn 14.
Into the braking zone, Lucas Auer, Max Goertz. Mercedes factory drivers, 2 separate teams, but for the Mercedes point of view, I very much doubt Max Goertz is going to challenge Lucas Auer here and try and take points away, because you never know. They need to make sure that the Man Filter car takes the championship, and by the biggest possible margin.
Well, I think Dries van Voor is sort of embedded in 7th position. He's not been able to do anything with Thierry Vermeulen. In fact, he's fallen back over the last couple of laps, so that looks like the best we've seen from the 32 this afternoon. And we've got, what, 6 minutes of this race remaining.
Yeah, the BMW 32, despite the BOP adjustment, has really not come alive in the dry, has it? So frustration for Charles Weerts and Dries van Voor, but some new names are going to be on the Sprint Cup Champions Trophy after their 3 titles. Now, Galal is starting to turn up the wick a little bit, isn't he? Because he's just gapped Simon Riker by a couple of lengths. Now, is that because Riker has had to go defensive against Alessio Dono? Those 2 behind, the Audi and the Ferrari, arguing over position as well. And there, side by side for 2nd place on the outside line. That is the McLaren leaning on the Aston. Benjamin Goerter desperate to get past. He's on the outside line, and all of a sudden, Lucas Auer thinks, oh, right, I don't want to be here now. You have your own accident away from me. They've survived it. It's the same order, but big commitment by Benjamin Goerter.
Nicolas Bart. Oh, and Lucas Auer is now going to get the momentum coming down, start-finish straight, to make a clean overtake on Benjamin Goerter, side by side coming down into turn 1. Benjamin Goerter's on the inside. He will probably be able to get his nose in. He does. And Lucas Auer wisely decides just to let the McLaren go. But I tell you, staunch defence from Nicolas Bart. He did not allow the McLaren to intimidate him.
And he's pulled a gap as well. So Goerter now on the defensive. Lucas Auer tried, showed intent, but it wasn't really worth a desperate late-braking move on the outside. That has brought Max Goertz onto their tail. It's also brought Thierry Vermeulen onto their tail. So 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th pretty much now, all in a long line. And Nicolas Bart, with just under 5 minutes of the championship to go, is clear. And Auer gets up the inside of the McLaren. He is committed to all of this, isn't he? He looks for the inside again down at turn 6. Thinks better of it.
I think he was thought very wisely, thinking the better of it, because, again, Benjamin Goerter's challenge is not about worrying about what's happening behind him. He's more concerned about letting the Aston Martin get away. And in the space of 1 lap, he was side by side going through turns 12. He's now running about 2 seconds behind. And there's a more concerned look on the face of Maro Engel, focusing on what is his teammate going to do. Is he going to become engrossed in a battle, which is not their battle? He just wants to stay there and just allow. I mean, the Mercedes directly behind is not, I mean, Maximilian Goerter is not, in my opinion, I think we would agree, likely to challenge Lucas Auer for this overall position.
And Goertz is under attack anyway from Thierry Vermeulen, who is behind him. So the leader...
Ooh.
Go on.
Big slide from the 48 coming through turn 13.
Indeed so. He survived it.
Again.
Another twitch, another wobble. So Lucas Auer's car all of a sudden looks less than compliant, shall we say. Sven Muller in the lead in the Porsche is nearly 9 seconds up the road from Nicolas Bart. Benjamin Goethe third. And has that Mercedes got a problem? Is that a tyre issue? Well, Mauro Engel's not sure what to do, where to look now. 3 minutes and change.
I mean, that would be very cruel if there was a tyre issue, because they've done all the hard yards to put themselves in the position. They've not had to fight to hold that position. They made up positions again in the pit stop. So, yeah, don't know what it was, but on 2 occasions on that last lap, I saw Lucas Sauer coming through turn 13 and then through 14, the car the rear end of it looking distinctly unstable.
So Max Goetz falls back into the clutches of Thierry Vermeulen. There is Dries Van Voor. Looks as though he is going to be denied a championship, but he's still pushing. Last year they were defeated, Wirtz and Van Voor, by Ricardo Feller and Mathieu Drudy, and this year it looks as though a 4th title is going to be denied to them, courtesy of Aaron Engel, and that BMW is absolutely on the limit. Dries Van Voor has that car by the scruff of the neck. He's making it whimper virtually as he flings it out of turn 9.
Yeah, and they put a lot of pressure on the Pirelli tyre. Oh, was that a bird or a bit of bodywork flew through? That was a drone.
The drone, I think.
Yeah. A drone gets into the picture.
I had the same panicky feeling.
Yeah, so I just saw this thing. I thought it might have been a red kite or something. I don't know if you get red kites here in Barcelona.
They don't travel. Depends which airline they came on, I guess. Down towards turn 13. Right, so panic over. It was the drone that was going through the shot. It wasn't bodywork, wasn't a drama. And there is the lead gap. Porsche leads the way. Remember that car. Sven Muller at the wheel of it. Behind it, quite a long way behind it, is Nicolas Bart's Aston. Then you've got Benjamin Goethe's McLaren. Then you've got Lucas Sauer's Mercedes. And we have got this lap and one more looking at the clock.
So all the hard work that Benjamin Goethe's, he's tried every which way he can to find a way past the Aston Martin, and I just wonder if he decided, I can't do any more. I had my big go just a lap or so ago coming round turn 12, 13, and even then I couldn't make it stick.
So the Bart-Goethe battle just ahead of our. There is Max Hofer heading for gold in the championship. Lorenzo Ferrari in the Audi is ahead of him on the road and will win the class on track. But going to be an Audi taking the championship. Max Hofer and Luca Engschler for Ron Hartfeldt's One Group Engineering squad. Really, really excellent job in the first year of the championship. So the lead gap, 8.8 seconds, Sven Muller to Nicolas Bart. And as the cars drop downhill, Ricardo Feller, the outgoing champion, in 8th place on his final warning for track limits. Silver, it's still going Callan Williams' way, and there is his car, Sean Gallile at the wheel of it, tentatively out of turn 4, but doing everything required to help his teammate to win the championship.
Yes, and he's sort of literally driven himself into the car, pulled away from the immediate competition, and now, again, the team said to him, just find your rhythm, just drive to your rhythm.
And in bronze, Dan Harper is bringing it home for Darren Lung, so it's going to be a championship. Darren Lung's starting to smile now. So DL1, I think it said in the background, another title for last year's British GT champion Darren Lung. Dan Harper, BMW factory driver, picked up by the brand as one of the juniors and then promoted to a fully fledged factory program. Here, though, is the lead car on the last lap then. Finally, a Rutronic Racing Porsche win. It's been in the post for quite a while.
Indeed, and they thought they had it at Manicure in the middle of the summer. That was denied. Bad release from the pit stop, and now it looks as if it's all going favourably. So Sven Muller done a great job. Patrick Niederhauser did an excellent job, the best job of all in qualifying to put that car onto pole position, and it's been, well, as Niederhauser said after qualifying, the car's a rocket ship, and that's what this Porsche has been all afternoon. It's been a rocket.
And there, second and third, Nicolas Bart, brilliant defensive drive against Benjamin Goethe as the cars make their way up towards turn 9. And for Mauro Engel, the celebrations are getting closer and closer and closer. So there for second, third and fourth on the road. The 4th place car is Lucas Auer. They're going to win the championship, Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel. But the last race of the Sprint Cup season is going to go the way of Porsche, as up towards turn 14 now, then towards the timing line comes Sven Muller, the Rutronic Racing car. Klaus Graf overseeing the team, former racer himself. The car comes out of turn 14, the checkered flag is at the ready, and the final race of the Sprint Cup season, won by Porsche, by Rutronic Racing and Sven Müller and Patrick Niederhauser. Here, Max Hofer is trying to win gold on the track, as for second place, Nicolas Bart fends off Benjamin Goethe, and fourth, Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel win the championship, and it's a delighted Mauro Engel. He's finally done it. Fantastic stuff for Mauro Engel, for Winwood Racing, for Lucas Auer. Here in gold, it is going to be Lorenzo Ferrari to hang on to win the class in the race. Max Hofer is going to bring number 6 home to win it in the championship. And for the One Group Engineering and Team Engschler parts of the organisation, fantastic first year at this level of racing. And Sean Galal deserves a bit of a cheer as well, because he really seemed to struggle yesterday, but today he has driven superbly to do everything that's required to make sure Callan Williams is going to win the Silver Cup. Aurelien Panis and Cesar Gazzo win the race, but the Silver Championship in sprint won by Callan Williams. And Sean Galal may have only done this one event of the season, but it's been a very important one, as Darren Lung and Dan Harper win the Bronze Cup. Well done, Darren Lung, who walked out of the garage to the applause. Dan Harper there brings the car home. Great result for those two.
Yeah, still a lot of joy in the pit lane, a huge amount of disappointment in other of the garages, but there is our race winner. And I mean, a great result for Porsche. They've just basically, since qualifying this morning, they've been the dominant car, and they've just driven away from the rest of the competition. Cars look flawless all the way through. Both drivers have done what they were required to do, and importantly also they had an excellent pit stop, so got the car in, out, and didn't lose any ground to the competition.
So what a way to finish the season, with constant changes of fortune for the classes, but for Charles Witz and Dries Van Thor, just a weekend that never seemed to be kind to the BMW, and it didn't have the ultimate pace of the Mercedes. If you think back 12 months, we had the endurance final here, and that proved it was a Mercedes circuit. Well, today it's a Porsche track, but it's a Mercedes venue, at least in terms of winning the crown. WRT can celebrate the Silver Championship, at least for Callan Williams. And gold won by the One Group Engineering, Licky Moly Team Engschler squad, and bronze for this team, the Paradigm Competition squad. Darren Lung, there he is, in the red overalls, and Dan Harper in the car. And top job for Darren Lung. Dan Harper will be very happy indeed about that. The Northern Irish driver came from Ginetta Junior Racing in the UK, was Carrera Cup Great Britain champion at the British Touring Car Package Bill, and then picked up by BMW with a word of recommendation or two from those in the Toka paddock, and deservedly so. Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel have made a good combination this year. They were victorious at Brands Hatch. For Mauro Engel, that is a 10th Sprint Cup win, a 4th for Lucas Auer, and finally for Mauro Engel, the Sprint Cup Championship that has eluded him for so many seasons.
Well, you have to say thoroughly earned. I mean, you've been close, but no success. Today has been their day, but there are our overall race winners: Sven Müller, Patrick Niederhauser, and of course Porsche.
And the Rutronic Racing squad finally getting a win. One on the road at Manicourt, and then had a penalty applied, so they lost the win. Mathieu Drudy there, who won the championship last year, finishing second in the race today with Nicolas Bart. He goes over to offer congratulations. And there'll be an awful lot for Antonia Rankin to catch up on when she's down in the pit lane. Dennis Marshall and Dustin Blattner winning in bronze from Sandy Mitchell and Rob Collard, but third enough for Dan Harper and Darren Lung to take the title. Sven Müller congratulated by just about everybody connected to Porsche by the look of it.
Well, I walked past their hospitality this morning, and I tell you what, there's a lot of people there coming to support this team, and there we can see the global challenge points.
Yeah, more for Porsche, stretching that lead over Mercedes AMG. Audi third, BMW up to fourth now, ahead of Ferrari. Champions Trophy beckons for Lucas Auer. Takes off his crash helmet, and the car ready for the rest of the team to come and join it and that man, Lucas Auer. Race winners, Pirelli caps, champions Pirelli caps provided, and the Champions Trophy stands there in readiness. So there'll be the race podium, champions podiums. And Lucas Auer thinking, where's my mate? Where's Mauro? Who's got a long walk up the pit lane, but he's heading this way.
Yeah, he looks a bit sort of like Billy No Mates right now, standing there, having won the championship. But where are my crew?
Well, let's hear from the race winners, that being Sven Muller and Patrick Niederhauser. Antonio Rankin is there with our race winners.
Patrick, Sven, what a way to end the season. We can see how delighted you are.
Yeah, like I said, it was a bit of a tough season, but finally we made it. Obviously the call in Marnicourt was a bit tough to swallow, but we knew we just got to keep fighting, keep going, and now we are here. P2 yesterday was already a great result for us, but finally we did it.
Yeah, I'm really happy, extremely happy, and thank you for the team. I mean, they work so hard, really, and we have so many setbacks and not so much luck, but this weekend was all our luck on our side, so yeah, this one goes for the team, and for sure for us, we are really happy.
Great job, guys, great job.
More delight and relief, I think, in equal measure. Sven Muller, Patrick Niederhauser, the winners then from Nicolas Barr and Mathieu Drudy, and third, Benjamin Goethe, who never stopped trying in that stint, Tom Gamble, his co-driver. Fourth, and the championship for Lucas Auer and Mauro Engel, ahead of Max Goetz and Jules Gounon. Sixth for Thierry Vermeulen and Giacomo Altway, and seventh, vanquished, Dries Van Voort and Charles Wirtz, ahead of Riccardo Feller and Alex Arca. The winners in gold, ninth, Lorenzo Ferrari and Lorenzo Petresi, Max Hoffa and Luca Engschler in 10th. But Lucas Auer can celebrate, at least on his own, a title win.
Lucas, you did it, you're the champion of the Pro.
Amazing feeling. First, big thanks to my team, to Mauro. What a tough way. It was really tough. Also overtaking here, the guys kept me updated. How's the gap? Do I need to overtake or can I take it a bit easier? So a tough race, but really proud.
I'm sure Mauro's off celebrating somewhere. This beautiful trophy behind you is going to be yours. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think Mauro is already lost with the Champagne, but the trophy is beautiful and very happy to share this moment with my team.
You've been brilliant this season. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mauro Engel is on his way, and I can see him out of the window. He's getting closer and closer and closer to the barricade that is around Parc Fermé. He's walked through the gap, and he'll go and see his teammate now. And there in super slow-mo is the Winwood Racing Man Filter Mercedes, the car that has brought Mauro Engel and Lucas Auer championship success in Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup. And there they are. They're united again, and they're all smiles. Mauro Engel and Lucas Auer celebrating success here at the Barcelona circuit. Lucas Auer possibly having to explain exactly why the car got loose on one lap. Mathieu Drudy says, well done, the outgoing champion. Now we've got bronze champions as well. Darren Lung's on his way. Dan Harper is with Antonio.
Who won overall?
Darren is off somewhere celebrating as well. Dan, what a brilliant 2 years you've had. What a fantastic pairing you and Darren have been.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back champions, British GT last year, and now Sprint Cup in the bronze class this year. So just over the moon for the whole team. Darren obviously bringing his own team into the GT3 world, into Europe. And together with Century in the background as well, so it's amazing for everybody. I'm just so happy, and it's been a tough year. I mean, the bronze class this year has been very strong with Sandy and Rob. Also Jonathan in the Ferrari has been very fast at times. At the end of the season, the Porsche with Dennis and stuff have been really fast, so it hasn't been easy, but we gathered up the points when we needed to, and yeah, now we're champions, so brilliant.
Huge congrats, you go find Darren.
Dan Harper all smiles. Darren Lung, again, is on his way. In fact, I think he's busy chatting to other drivers. It's strange, isn't it? The different emotions of drivers as they get towards the presentation area. So Darren Lung has stopped for a chat, by the look of it, with Rob Collard. The Paradigm competition, BMW, then comes through to win in the Bronze Cup. And Dan Harper and Darren Lung, to an extent, John, playing the points game, but doing what they needed to do to win a championship.
Well, I think if you go into a championship, your aim is to win that championship. You can go out and, for all the glory of trying to be the quickest car, quickest driver pairing, but ultimately it's about a championship, and you have sometimes to make compromises to achieve that.
What about gold? Luca Engschler, Max Hofer.
Max, that was a fantastic second stint. Luca, you have both been an incredible pairing this whole year, changing cars. You've managed every obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy for the team to be here. They've worked really hard, and I think today showed that we've done a clever race. I think we could have, if we wanted, be a bit further up front overall, but it was clever racing from both. So yeah, happy also for him.
Yeah, what should I add? I mean, we had highs and lows throughout the season. I think we had some really good moments, but also some bad moments which made the life quite difficult for the last race. We went into the race with half a point difference on the back foot to CSA, but finally we were lucky today. That's also fair play to them, we have to admit that. A shame we couldn't fight it on track, but at the end we can be happy that we achieved it and won the championship, yeah.
You did brilliantly, well done guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, first year into GT World Challenge Europe, and Luca Engschler, who made his name really in touring cars, winning plenty of TCR touring car style titles, and now a GT champion as well. So Ron Hartveldt's team, One Group Engineering, along with the Franz Engschler family eponymous squad, coming through as the Gold Cup champions. Brilliant debut year in GT racing.
I think it just goes to illustrate what a great race car the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. Give it its full description and title, it's still a very, very effective race car.
So the podium is being prepared for the race winners, for the champions. There's also the winning team for the pit stop challenge as well, which was Boots and VDS today. And race result means championship result. Lucas Auer and Maro Engel are champions, ahead provisionally of Charles Witz and Dries Van Voor, Ben Green and Constant Apolainen, race winners this year, third, and more race winners, Patrick Niederhauser and Sven Muller, fourth from Max Goetz and Jules Gounon. Giacomo Altway and Thierry Vermeulen taking sixth. So there is, of course, the Endurance Cup showdown to come at the end of November for the endurance drivers and, of course, the combined championship. But in gold in sprint, Luca Engschler and Max Hofer celebrate the crown just from Simon Gachet and Lucas Legere, who were never able to recover from the puncture on lap 1, Paul Everard and Gilles Magnus taking third. So there onto the podium come Tom Gamble and Benji Goethe for third in the race, third in pro for Garage 59. Then, after a really stoic defence, Nicolas Barr and Mathieu Drudy for second for the ComTU Aston Martin team. And the top step of the podium. And a big, big cheer for the Rutronic Racing team, because although it's always tempting to sort of ignore the race winner when a championship is decided, it's an important race win for the Porsche squad. And to the top of the podium will come Patrick Niederhauser and Sven Muller. That, as far as I can work out, is the first Porsche Sprint Cup win there has been. They've been good in endurance, but a rare first Sprint Cup win for Porsche, Patrick Niederhauser and Sven Muller. Great job done by the Rutronic Racing team, and so now the presentation of the trophies awaits as the dignitaries step forward. And for Garage 59's Benjamin Goethe and Tom Gamble, the trophies presented, handshakes to all, and the second placed trophies for Mathieu Drudy, for Nicolas Barr. It's Nicola's father who runs and owns the ComTU team, and they won at Spa in the CrowdStrike 24 hours, which is a great event, so I'd recommend it for next year. And second place here for ComTU as well. The team's trophy given to Rutronic Racing, and that means that next there are the drivers' race winners' trophies, and they go to Patrick Niederhauser and Sven Muller. So So well done to Lucas Auer and Maro Engel, champions at the end of a great season in the Sprint Cup.